Hey, all you pixels, welcome back to Two Pixels Off. Brad and I have not recorded in like a freaking month. We were so far ahead in our recordings, and now we're back. And Brad's nervous about being rusty. I said, don't worry, dude. I got this. I'm like, I'm going to be dialed in. I'm going to be dialed in.
Don't worry.
How are you, Brad?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I got a touch of a head cold, so I'm a little congested. I got a little congestion, but there's an upside. I always I don't like getting a cold, but the best part is my voice sounds fantastic. It's got that deep, resonant tone to it. So I really will ham it up today.
Well, when you got on, I got a little Twitter-pated first. And that's the first time I think in my entire life I've ever said Twitter-pated. I got a little Twitter-pated, and then I was like, man, he sounds sultry. That was the word that came to mind. Sultry. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll take it.
There you go. I don't know. I feel flush. That's
awesome.
Welcome to Two Pixels Off, a podcast for creative entrepreneurs.
Well, you're in for a treat today, folks. We're going to make you feel a little flush by the end of this one.
That's good. Until Brad starts blowing his nose and the snot dripping everywhere, we will.
Yeah, I'll be over here like.
I'll be like, I'm not flush anymore.
Never mind. You sick.
That's good. All right. Welcome back, everybody. And we're glad to be back in the studio to record Two Pixels Off. This one actually is going to be live tomorrow. So we're recording this on a Monday and going live tomorrow. I had a whole batch that I had and I edited, and we didn't need to record for a while. And then all of a sudden I went on Saturday to edit one together and we were out. So here we are. Today we are going to give you a rapid fire take on 10 different insecurities that creative entrepreneurs have that are very, very common. That's what we're going to go for today. Brad, you got any intro commentary before we dig in?
You know, I'm excited for this one because I like when we challenge ourselves to use brevity and be fast, because I like to say, at least I think I like to say, if you can't explain something in a minute or less, then you don't understand it well enough. And so it's like, this is a challenge for us to explain these things as best as we can in a way that can be done in a minute or less. And I think that's a cool challenge.
I do. I love it. And it is good for the attention span of the world right now that we all face. If you can't spit it out and be articulate in a short amount of time, you will struggle moving forward. All right, before we jump into the very first one, shout out to Wix Studio for making Two Pixels Off possible. We have a couple things that we're going to drop about Wix Studio in this episode that relate to these 10 insecurities that people face. And so we'll just leave those as little nuggety things coming. The first one we're going to talk about is finding clients. This is going to be the first one. Brad's going to go first. He's going to give us 1 minute of pure genius about the insecurity that creative entrepreneurs face about finding clients. Why do they feel it? What can they do to solve it? Where do you go with it? Just these two words, Brad, finding clients. And I'm going to hit a timer. We got the timers here. And go.
Okay. All right. Finding clients is obviously the most stressful, I think, of insecurities, because if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. That's the words of our friend Kyle Prinsloo of Freelance fam. He says, hey, look, you can have this great idea, but if you don't have clients, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And so finding clients is really the crux of your business. You really need those clients. And so the way to mitigate that is to, first of all, know who your clients are. Even if you don't have them yet, you should know exactly who they are. And it should be one type of person, not all types of businesses or a broad stroke. Know exactly who your client is, exactly what their pain points and sufferings are, and exactly how you, using your expertise, experience, personality, can serve them and solve a specific pain point and problem for them. Once you have that dialed in, go find where they are and talk to them. That's where I'm going to leave it.
Is that it? You got it?
That's where we're going to leave it.
With 3 seconds to spare on your clock, Okay, good. Something you shouted out there that I'm just going to echo as value is figure out who they even are. Like so many people out there, I'm a web designer. Well, who do you design websites for? Well, anybody who needs a website. You got to dial it in a little bit tighter than that. It does not have to be super duper hyper niche. But man, if you're going to find clients, you can't just wander around saying anybody need a website and expect to have any kind of substantial growth or success. It's too broad. Dial it in a little tighter.
Yeah. And then I'll say one more thing about that is it only makes it easier. A lot of people are afraid, if I niche down or if I'm too specific, then I'm going to I'm not going to get all the other opportunities that are coming my way. First thing I usually say is, do you have a bunch of opportunities coming your way? The answer is always no. So I'm like, well, don't worry about it. You're not losing anything anyway. If you start speaking to someone specific, all of it becomes easier. You know what sort of websites you're designing. You know what to write. You know the problems. You know how to market. You know that you don't need to be on TikTok, but you do need to be on LinkedIn or whatever, platform. It all becomes easier. You know the conferences to go to. You know, the software creators to talk to, you know, all of it. It becomes so easy, or at least so much easier. So finding clients is like, first of all, like know who they are. And then just finding them is really not that hard. Securing them and getting them and making deals with them is the next thing, which actually, this is a good segue to number 2 for your challenge.
Except that I got to echo something on there that's super important. And this is why we struggle with the 1 minute thing, Brad, because we got a lot to say. But if you think this through, it is not necessarily that you design websites for restaurants. It can be that you design a website that solves a certain problem. Like we design websites we design e-commerce websites. Boom. All of a sudden you're a little bit more niche. Now you will do an e-commerce website for any type of business. It doesn't just have to be plumbers or clothing sales or jewelry or whatever. It can be for any type of business, but now you're a little bit more niche. Even more than that, you can go to, I design Shopify websites, which a lot of creative businesses, that's their hyper niche. They are Shopify websites. They will do it for any type of business. Wix Studio, another great platform that you can say, I am a Wix Studio developer. That's where I design my websites. Now you're hyper niched onto a platform rather than saying, I'm just for tech companies or just for sports and apparel or whatever. You don't have to go that way, but you can dial it in a little tighter.
Just interviewed, and this is the last thing we'll say. We're not allowed to say anything else.
All right, I will not say anything else.
Okay, I'll put you on mute.
I'm already muted.
Silence. Okay,
you got me.
I just interviewed somebody in the creative crew community, and I asked them what their niche was. This is an agency, and they said our niche is Wix Studio in Latin America. They're like, it's literally Latin American businesses who need Wix Studio based sites. And they're like, that's it. And like, they've got a list of 20,000 people following them for insights. They're industry leaders. And they're like, this is our bread and butter. It's like Wix Studio in Latin America. That's niche enough. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the next common insecurity is the fear of pricing too high or too low. And so I'm going to give you, I'm not going to add anything here, unless you are.
No, I got an idea because I didn't do my minute of finding clients, but why don't I'll do the minute and then you do the color commentary on my minute instead of giving your own little take or whatever. So we'll just give the first person who goes a time limit. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we just did. That's what we did on Finding Clients. And I feel like that segment, in spite of some of the dumb stuff you were saying and trying to share, I feel like I brought it home enough, tight enough to be of value for the listeners.
I think so. So you get a minute of wisdom, and I get a little bit of a follow up of off color commentary.
Okay, or to correct anything stupid that I say.
Fact check.
Here we go.
Here we go. Fear of pricing too high or too low. Mike's got a minute starting now.
Okay, track your win-loss. Track your win-loss. If you're pricing too high, your not closing enough. If you're pricing too low, you're closing too many. It all dials down to understanding how many you're winning and how many you're losing. So you track it. Throw it in a spreadsheet. If you follow my content, you've seen me share this a ton of times. 50 to 70%, that's what you should go for. You should not be winning 100% of your projects. You're priced too low. You should not be winning none of your projects. You're priced too high. So it really starts there on understanding whether you're priced too high or too low. You also have to go in, and since I have a couple extra seconds, you can do market research, understand what other people are charging, look at the surveys, talk to people inside of communities. You'll be surprised how many people will kind of give you a ballpark of what they're charging for things inside of some of these creative communities, like Creative Crew. Throw it on there, see what people say. Bam!
That was great.
I shot out Creative Crew. I gave tactical advice. I think I nailed it. I think
you did. I don't think I can give you a bad score.
No, I hear people applauding, like they're in their car right now, and I feel it.
That is interesting. Yeah. Oh, no, I must have pressed that little stinger button on here for the auto applause just to make you feel better. Sorry, I did that by accident.
Oh, okay.
That's like I have a little stream deck over here, and I can't bring it in the screen, like the cable's not long enough, but there's a button that says make Mike feel happy, and it's just applause.
That's good. Mike takes care of it himself. Like when I need my own imposter syndrome cured, I just give myself congratulation types of comments.
Love it. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, color commentary, Brad.
Color commentary.
If you're pricing too high, too low. Yeah.
Yeah, pricing is not about your feelings. Pricing is just based on the factual like data that's coming in. It's a response to, like, it's kind of like a signal. You say, I'm going to offer this, and it's $1,000. And if the people that you make those offers to are like, no, then okay, either price is too high, or your offer sucks, or both. You know? And if you're like, okay, well, let's change one variable. You're like, let's say for that person, you say, okay, it's $500 for the next offer. And they go, awesome, no worries, perfect. Either it's great, or the next time you offer it again, you offer it for, say, $750, and there's a bit of resistance, but you close half of them. Maybe you found that sweet spot. Maybe you now try to change the variable of the offer, and you say, maybe selling a website for the dentist is a crappy offer, but maybe you're starting to actually get better at selling, and you say it's a sales engine for your dental practice, and we help get you more leads on a weekly basis. And we do that through websites, email marketing, really dialed in branding, and some really interesting tactics with old-fashioned print mailouts. And then they go, ooh, how much? And you go, $1,000. And they're like, great. So now you play with a couple variables. And so it's really just a matter of, responding to what people are accepting or rejecting. And then you just change it based on that. So I think you had it.
I think you did great. That was great color commentary. I feel really happy about it.
Good.
All right, here we go.
Okay, what do we got
You
next?
ready for the next one? We got Imposter Syndrome. Imposter Syndrome, 1 minute. Brad on Imposter Syndrome, and go.
Okay, so this one is a very interesting one. So even the beginners, obviously they're going to feel like, hey, I'm not good enough. But here's the thing. As you get better or more experienced, that doesn't change. I think unless you're a psychopath, like, you will always, at every stage of your business and career and life, will feel like, I don't know if I really deserve this or earn this. And I think that's actually just a good trait, that you're a good, decent, empathetic person. If you were like, I'm awesome, like, I'm so good at this, it's sick. It makes me sick how great I am. There's something wrong with you, and you probably need to go get help for that. So be okay with that. Accept that you don't feel good enough for it, but don't wallow in your sorrows. Do something about it. Prove to yourself that, hey, you know what? I'm making steps towards this. There's something here that I've got, but I'm going to keep doing it despite me feeling like maybe I'm not good enough for this.
All right. I love it. Good comments. My color commentary on it is, and you went this way on pricing too high, too low. Look at reality. Like this is the imposter syndrome. Look at reality. A lot of times we get insecure. I do too. I mean, I get insecure posting content. The amount of times I talk myself out of posting something because I'm like, oh man, somebody's going to hate on this or something.
Yeah.
I feel that imposter syndrome. Yeah, this is not good, whatever. And then a lot of times I'll post it and people will be like, I needed this today. It's that kind of thing. Anyway, you feel it at any level. That's the point that one of the points that Brad made. But look at reality. Look at reality, not just your own insecurities. And if you look at this and you say, okay, imposter syndrome, I feel funny. Why should I be telling this client this thing? Well, because if the client knew the thing, then you wouldn't be at the table at all. They need you there. You somehow got to a table where the client is asking for something that they're willing to pay for because they don't know it. And if you do, then don't have imposter syndrome. Trust that you know something of value, and that's why you're there. So I think you just got to really look at reality on this. But the imposter syndrome, yeah, it never goes away.
Yeah, look at the facts. Look at reality.
Yeah.
You know, despite whether you feel great or you don't, whether you're up or down, it's like just do it anyway. It's like if you're working out and you want to get more healthy, it's like it doesn't matter if you feel great about doing it or not, or you feel like putting on your running shoes or not. Just do it and go for the run. There, you did the run. Mm-hmm. You're a runner, whether you feel like you are or not. Suck it up. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah, you know, Nike and just all of their advertising has done such a great job of doing this to the world. Like of making the common person feel like an athlete because of the Nike gear. I think that's like at the heart of their whole thing. Yeah. Like, cause who should be out running? Like anybody? No, because we're not like track stars winning the Olympics, but Nike's done a good job of saying, you know what, if you run at all, then you're doing great. And we gotta remember that ourselves in our field.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And just to say, their slogan is just do it. And I just realized now what it actually means. I think it kind of hit. It's like, oh, it's just like, whatever, just do it. Like, it's not like, just do it. It's not like this big motivational. It's just like, hey, I don't want to run. I'm not a runner. You're like, just do it, man. Put your damn shoes on. Just do it. You're like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Okay. So imposter syndrome, you know what? Just do it. Just do the thing. Stop overthinking it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Right. We just hijacked Nike's slogan.
It's not Nike, it's Mikey.
That's what it is.
Mike,
people are going to start quoting. They're going to be quoting 2 pixels off whenever they hear just do it from now on.
Yeah, that's their slogan. Yeah. Do not send it cease and desist. Maybe we need to change it to like from just do it to like just go for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Change it a little bit.
Hey, go for it is good.
Go for it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, this is in keeping with the similar theme here, kind of the fear-based internal turmoil you might have. It's the fear of rejection. So being rejected by your clients, your peers, criticism. So that's a huge insecurity designers face. So I'm going to give you a minute and you're going to give us your best on that. Here we go. And now.
You have to understand that what you are offering has value to the client. And if you're not offering something of value, then figure out how to offer something of value. But if it is genuinely positioned to help their business, and they reject it, shame on them. That is their loss. That's not your loss. That's not your loss. They're rejecting the growth and the help that you could provide them. So I think there's a little bit of a paradigm shift. If you go to the table knowing that what you have will genuinely help them and they reject it, then man, feel sad for them. Don't feel like it was a blemish on you. Feel sad for the client for missing out on the great help that you could do. Now, this is kind of a paradigm spin that I do in my brain on fear of rejection.
Nice. Perfect timing. Okay.
I was watching the clock.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a great take on it. Only one thing I will add, or maybe kind of reiterate, is, you can't, you can't control what people say and how people respond. You can only control what you say and what you do. So whether or not a potential client, responds this way or that way, like you can't control how they'll respond to you. You can just control how you are approaching it. And so there's almost like a liberation in that, where you're like, look, they might reject me, they might love it, they might feel weird about it, or they might, ignore me, whatever. Like, you can't control that anyway. So get over that part. Then the more you practice putting your ideas out there, or offering something, or suggesting something, or making an offer, the easier it gets, because the more you realize, I can't control how they respond. So I've had people go from like being like, where have you been all my life, to literally texting me on my personal number saying like, you're an effing scam artist, for the same thing.
Whoa,
and I was like,
whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I was
man.
like, what? How can I have this person thank me
Oh my.
and have a track record of like being like, hey, this is wonderful working with you. I'm like, I'm so grateful, and blah, blah, blah. And then another person being like, I hate you. You're like, It's like, I didn't do anything different. I just said, hey, here's what I can do for you. Here's how I can help you. You might have one person love it, and you might have one person hate it. If you hinge your happiness and success on the other person's mental state and how they're going to respond to you, like, get out of here. So you're not going to have a very happy experience. So just detach from what people think and what people say, and just do your best to do your thing.
I love it. I didn't know that people had called you a scam artist.
It was just one guy.
So brutal.
He
I know, but
probably
it's so brutal. And you know what? You're not the only person that person called a scam artist. That's that type of person out there. They're out looking
going out after people for sure.
Yeah.
They say hurt people. He was probably sad.
Yes, exactly. Yep. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Next one. Comparing yourself to others. This is a common insecurity that creatives have. Brad has 1 minute, and go.
This is like it's like people have always compared themselves to others, like Keeping Up with the Joneses or whatever. What you see and what you see on the surface, the veneer, you kind of want to copy that, or you feel like measuring yourself in relation to that. It's even worse now, where you can like go on someone's social media profile and you can see all their great work and see all the things that they're doing. I had somebody like message me one time and be like, man, I'll never be a creator because I'm seeing how much you're doing, and I couldn't keep up with it. You must be so happy and so successful and doing so well. I could never do that. And I was like, the first thing I said was like, hey man, like, I'm struggling over here too. Okay. Like, I'm having a hard time, and this is hard to keep up with. And sometimes I'm crushing it, and other times I just feel like this is just, what am I doing? So whatever you see, don't let that push you off from doing your own thing, because I feel the same thing too when I look at other people. The real trick is detaching again from the comparison and just compare yourself to yourself yesterday.
It's so solid. Exactly right. My color commentary addition to that would be, stop looking at them. If you feel bad because you're comparing yourself to others, stop looking at them. And I think I've mentioned this a few times. The amount of people I have muted on social media would probably shock a lot of people, because I don't want to see them, because there's something in what they're doing that makes me feel like, dang it, I feel bad, like I'm not doing good enough, or I see something that they're doing that just makes me feel off for some reason. And it's not always just like opinionated stuff or anything. It might just be that their content, I don't want to be inspired by it. I don't want it to distract me from what I'm actually focused on doing. I want to stay dialed in to me. And if somebody's posting something, this is where social media and this comparison thing is happening. If somebody's posting something and it's making me feel misaligned, then I'm going to mute them, even if they're my friend, not because I don't like them, but just because for my own mental health, I got to stay focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah. Remove the stimulus.
Yeah, remove the stimulus. And you can do that. I mean, stop you comparing yourself. You got a problem with that, then stop comparing yourself. Hide that stuff. You can still follow it, but mute it so you don't see the feeds. or say, show me less of this. Control your input. All right.
Great. Okay.
Next
so
one.
we have next. It's going to be your hot take now on client management issues. This is a big insecurity that some freelancers and designers struggle with. So I want to hear your hot take on client management issues in 3, 2, 1.
Client management issues is a big problem for a lot of creatives. And the reason is because they have a loose, crappy scope. They're working off of an ambiguous proposal and an ambiguous contract, if they have a contract at all. Now, I had these problems at the start of my agency, clients getting skillywampus and asking for stuff and you can't manage them. You have no ability to control them. I just kept adding things to my contracts. All right. You think that there were 3 rounds on just the logo sketches? Well, not anymore, because I detailed every single round that was going to happen for every single phase of the project. You want 2 of my people to fly out to Washington, D.C. on December 22nd, right before Christmas, to have an in-face meeting, and you think that's in scope? I put in client requested travel out of scope for every project from then on in all my contracts. So the client management issues go back to the contract. Get that client contract detailed.
There you go. Little over time, but
dude, it was 2 seconds over time. It was 2 seconds over time.
2 seconds. 2 seconds out of 60 seconds is like what?
That's fine. It's like 0.3%.
3.3%. It's pretty aggressive in this.
All right. Gosh, dang it. Dang it.
But a necessary one. If anything, a lot of your insecurities around client issues comes down to the contract. I saw somebody that I admire on social media, his work. He's like kind of an up and coming designer. Works in a similar space as me in terms of the types of clients that we serve. I just do a different thing, and he does more of like kind of design and sales pages, and I do kind of more email marketing and strategy. And he was saying like, I don't do contracts, but I had this client, basically take advantage of me. And I was like, wait, what? Rewind. You said you don't do contracts? I was like, did you just start business yesterday and you forgot? Like, you didn't know that this was the thing? And he's been doing it for like 10 years. And I was like, you have been lucky. And now it's come back to bite you. So here's what needs to happen. Never do that again. Always use a contract. It's going to solve all your problems. And then he was like, oh, I'm worried it's just going to scare clients off, or it's going to put a bad taste in their mouth or make them not trust me. I was like, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to make the clients who actually want to work with you trust you more, feel like they're working with a professional, and feel more safe, because contracts protect them, the ones that they sign. It protects them as much as it protects you. And the ones who don't want contracts are the ones who want to weasel their way in to screw you over. You want to scare them away. You want to make them mad. You want to make them scared, and you want to make them run away like a little sookie baby. Because
you want them to call you an effing scam artist.
Yeah. Because they don't want to sign on the line.
Because they didn't want that. Yep.
Because they really wanted to scam you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just didn't.
I like what you said there, Brad. I think that's, yes, a contract will scare away a client with a $500 budget. Yeah. If you want a client with a $5,000 budget for anything, then you better start using contracts. You better start acting like a business. You can't just operate willy-nilly off of emails if you want to get to any level of substantial revenue as a creative entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what do we got?
All right, here we go. This is you, right? Struggles with work-life balance, Brad, and 1 minute, go.
Okay. Work-life balance is especially hard if you're working from home. If you work for yourself from home, which a lot of freelancers and creatives and designers do. And I've been working from home for like 15 years now. And it's easier for some, harder for others. If it's easier for you, then great. You're not part of this. If it's hard for you and you feel like your work is going to bleed into your life and vice versa, and it's going to be too distracting, you need to set up systems and make it easier. So my kids and my wife know when a door is closed, it's like, and during certain hours, you just have to I'm in work mode. When I'm out, I'm in home mode or dad mode, husband mode. Okay. I have a lot of flexibility between work and life. You don't have to completely separate them like Severance, the Apple TV show. they are a part of you. Work is a part of you. Life is a part of work. They say that business problems are personal problems in disguise. So just find a way to create a healthy balance, but they don't have to be completely severed. Just work on systems that allow you to lightly separate the two. I feel like that was okay.
You know what? I'm gonna dock you some points for going 3.3% over on your time, because that's massive, as you just
established. Yep.
in the last segment. It is massive. Okay. For me, I kind of hate the work-life balance thing, and people talk about it, but man, you want to see me out of balance? Don't let me work. Then I'm out of balance. I feel like I'm not getting enough done. I feel like I got this looming pressure. I feel like I got to get to my office, and I work out of my house too. And I feel like I got to get this stuff done. So I'm out of balance when I don't work. Work-life balance is a proportional measure and it's different for every single person. And for me, man, if I can't work 10 hours a day, I kind of feel bad. Like I'm not getting enough done. I'm not making enough progress. And then I'm antsy in my personal time with my kids or whatever. I'm not 100% there because I'm thinking of other stuff. So just judge what that means for you, and don't fall into the trap of listening to whatever kind of life coach you find on a YouTube video that says you got to have certain percentages. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, it is. Just look at the facts, look at reality, look at your own life. Don't base it off other people. Base it off what works for you, what works for your family, what's too much, what's not enough. Just look at it that way. Okay, this one's going to be a good one for you, and I'm glad this one landed on you because you have actual proven experience in this one. This is a common insecurity for designers and freelancers, which is scaling and hiring, the fears around that. And go.
Scaling and hiring, the thing that got me over the fear of that was starting to look at things in 3-month increments. It was a game changer. I'll give you an example. If you want to hire a $60,000 a year employee for your business, then you look at your numbers. If you have $15,000 of cash in your bank on top of what you need for the next 3 months, then you have enough money to hire that person for 3 months and see how it goes. If you have $5,000 in profit projected each of the next 3 months, then you have enough to experiment with the $5,000 a month employee. If you have some combination of money in the bank, receivables, and profit over the next 3 months, then you have that equals the amount that you would invest on this experimental hire. Then you have enough revenue to take the plunge and go for it.
Nailed it.
I got more to say on this, Brad, so I'm gonna force myself in. You have to look at it in 3 months. Sorry for giving you the follow-up, but this one's an important one. In 3 months, if that person is not helping you make more revenue, then you'll let them go. And you'll be right back where you are right now with just you in your business, or you and the couple people you already have. You'll just be out the $5,000 per month that you invested that came out of your receivables, your profit, and your money in the bank.
Yeah.
So that's the experiment. Now, most of the time, 3 months goes, if you hire right, you'll be saying in 2 weeks, how could I have ever not done this before? I should have hired this person a long time ago. It doesn't take 3 months to know if somebody's a fit or not.
Yeah.
You'll know fast.
I will permit, though I dock you point anyway, I will permit the extended answer because it's necessary. And I actually will say, I took your advice on that because back in November, so this was a few months ago at the time of this recording, I was in this predicament where I was like, I need to hire a kind of like an assistant community manager who's going to help with the logistics and the minutia that I've created. As Creative Crew community grew, we're at like 6,000 members. We have a lot of like content, a lot of initiatives. We've got courses, boot camps, guest experts, podcasts. It's like, there's literally so much that I was like, whoa, I'm doing all this by myself with some automations and AI, which has been really great. But I was juggling about 1,000 balls, it seemed, and starting to get pretty stressed. And I was like, I really need to hire someone to help with this, who's better at this than I am, so I could get out of that part, be a better community leader, but also work on other aspects of my business that I've kind of not been able to focus on because I'm too busy. And so took your advice. I remember this conversation we had in a previous episode about hiring. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hire this person for 3 months. So it's going to cost me X amount of dollars, which out of all the applicants was kind of the highest of, there were some people who like quoted me higher and they were not qualified, which was interesting. But of all the qualified people, this was the most qualified with the highest price. And I was like, oh, this is okay. This is a little bit difficult for me because this is an extra expense. But I'm going to do what Mike said, and I'm going to do it for 3 months. I can afford that price tag. But if I don't see, these deliverables and outcomes from this person in 3 months, and specifically, my time isn't freed up so that I can close more, specifically my email marketing intensives. I was like, these are $2,000 or $3,000 per day. I was like, if I can close, which I had no time for any of them during this time prior to hiring. And I said, if I can hire 2 in the months, like for each month of these 3, I will have made all that money back and more. And it will prove to me that I actually bought my time back. So not only did I buy my time back, which means less stress, but I also made money as a result of this person. So I said, that's going to be my metric. And so it's been November, December, January, February. It's been 4 going on to 5 months. And this person is still hired because I've closed like 6 of these intensives since while still doing everything else. So I'm like, okay, absolutely. If this person isn't there, then I go back to the way it was before, and I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. Yep. And I remember when you made that hire, and I knew that she was on the higher price of your scale, but I work with your community sometimes on things, and she was so on top of it. Like 1 week later, I was like getting correspondence from her asking me for certain things. And I was like, man, she's freaking on it. There was a measure of me that was jealous. I was like, wow, Brad nailed it. Brad nailed it. But the point is she proved herself in just a couple weeks. It did not take the 3 months that you had in your brain. All right. Good. Love that. All right, here we go. Ready? Fear of selling. I think this is you.
Yeah.
This one we kind of touched on in a few different ways, but it's similar to some things. Here we go. Fear of selling, creatives insecurity, and go.
I think the fear of selling really comes down to just the fear of rejection, which is kind of we talked about earlier. You can't control how people are going to respond. You can only control how you do it. And the best way to get better at selling, which is uncomfortable even for the best of us who are okay with asking for money, it's practice. My first sales call, I think I had an aneurysm. Not really, but I was close to. It was so scary. I did about 100. And by the 100th one, I was like, I could do these without any prep, any stress. I could do this in the car on the way now. You just get better with time. It's just practice, practice, practice. And the other thing about selling is that it's necessary. You're thinking about sales as this scummy sort of car salesman thing. No. And people always say, I'm running out of time here, but people always say it's the used car salesman that's scummy. No, it's the new car salesman that's doing the scammy stuff. The used car salesman is generally more honest. Hey, look, there's some nicks and dents in this. Like, it is what it is. But, you can kind of take out the scummy stuff in the middle. I know I'm out of time, but I'm going to add one piece to this.
Okay.
It's practice. If you are nervous about what you're selling, maybe you don't believe in what you're selling. So if you believe in what you're selling, which is yourself, your own personal brand, and the offer that solves problems for your clients who you care about, then there's nothing to be scared and nervous about. It just takes practice. But if you feel that you're scummy or scammy, you probably don't have a good enough or believable enough offer that even you don't believe.
Okay. I'm going to just echo this because I think it was super dope. It's not the used car salesman. It's the new car salesman. Did you make that up? Did you make that up?
I didn't. Oh, no, sorry. I did make that up. I will take 100% credit because I just
But then you
recently
found
bought a
somebody
vehicle.
else who made it up also.
No, it was fully me. It was fully my idea because everyone says it's the used car salesman.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've bought enough vehicles and I've went into enough new dealerships and used dealerships, and I love going to the used lots because those guys are like, look, it's 8 years old. It's got a bit of hail damage. What can I do to make this deal happy for you? I'm not here to screw you over. Whereas it's the new one who's like, look, I wrote this down on a piece of paper, post over the napkin. What you know? You know, and you're like, get out of my life, you trash. Like, that's, you know.
You would text them afterwards and say you're an effing scam artist.
Because they just crush you. It just, So,
dude, I think that was dialed in. It's not the new car sales. It's not the used car salesman. It's the new car salesman. I love that. That just resonates with me. I'm going to add one little tiny nugget to this. The people are afraid, or creative entrepreneurs are afraid of coming across too pushy, too salesy. And so they dial it back. The truth is that almost every creative entrepreneur that I've ever met is so far away from the line of being too pushy. It's not even funny. You have so much room to go before you're even close to ever being perceived as too pushy. So to push a little harder, push at all. That's what I would say. Push, at least push a little. Not just going to come.
Honestly, it's like, it feels great. Once you get practice with some sales and you find your voice with it, follow a little bit of like a formula. Like, don't have to read a sales script, but like there's this formula to a sales script. And it's just understanding. It's like playing a game. When you're playing basketball, you should know positions. Or when you're, say, you're fighting or sparring, you need to know like counter moves and like how to defend yourself and how to go on the offense. It's literally the same thing. It's a conversation that has moves and counter moves. And if you need to know them. And so once you start practicing them a little bit and you don't have to go straight off a script, you start to become natural. You go, oh, I know how to guide this conversation. Let's just do it like that. And then you could be really natural and you can find your unique voice. And then you'll feel less pushy or quote unquote salesy. It's just that you haven't practiced enough. Okay. So the last one is the uncertainty about the future. And this is particularly potent because of the rise of AI and how fast and advanced that technology gets on a daily basis. So uncertainty about the future. 1 minute and go.
Stop looking so far ahead. You don't know what's going to happen next year, the year after, the year after that. Go back to this idea of 3 months. That's really all we have to gauge. 3 months is all we can say with pretty clear certainty. We have a good, solid understanding of what's going to happen in the next 3 months. That's talking politically, that's talking geopolitically, it's talking all of the AI tools and all the things coming. We kind of have an idea of what's going to happen in the next 3 months. Don't go too far ahead and get yourself all freaked out. Now, relating to AI, a lot of creatives are very concerned about how that's going to impact your job. My opinion on it, start embracing it now. Do not put your head in the sand, and then adapt to the tools that are incorporating AI into them. Let's shout out Wix Studio. They're putting in all kinds of AI features that make your job easier as a web designer, web developer. You can get the copy, you can do image generation, you can generate wireframes and sitemaps, and it helps you plan the content all inside the tool. So you're concerned about what tool do I adapt? What tool do oh no, there's a new tool here and a new tool there. You know what? Wix and Wix Studio is trying to figure that out too. Let them do it with their billions of dollars of revenue, and let them build into their tool the things that you actually need as a creator. Instead of you feeling like you got to go and chase every shiny object out there.
That's a good way of putting it. I think instead of worrying about like what AI tools you're supposed to use, or if AI is going to take your job, or just lean into a platform like Wix Studio, who's got the resources and time and manpower to figure it out. And they will build it in. The most necessary and relevant pieces of AI that you actually should care about are the ones that are being built into the tool, like image generation, text generation, SEO, sitemaps, wireframes, product descriptions, meta descriptions based off of images that are automatically generated because of AI can do that now. these sorts of things. It's not taking your job. It's actually it's arming you with literal digital superpowers so that you can be a more effective and produce more in your craft. So I think that's a good way of tying that in.
I love that. And I think that you gave some great color commentary on there. Your voice, my heart fluttered a little and I was like, whew. I started to get a cold sweat. I didn't know what was happening. But it was great. It was great.
That was a, you know what? Today was a good episode where I think, we were on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
I think this one might have made everybody happy.
I heard people applauding. Some people got teared up on some of the stuff. Yeah. It was great. So thank you all to the
episode.
Yeah, it was very emotional. People feeling it. Okay. Thank you, Pixels, for listening to this episode of 2 Pixels Off. Hopefully you got a couple little nuggets in there. Some of that stuff you've heard from Brad and I before, but it's good to hear it in a different shotgun kind of approach and the quick rapid fire thing. We love doing these episodes. We love our Pixel listeners. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again in another episode coming soon of TPO.